Hey, what is going on, you guys? It is Mr. No Sleep here from Old School RuneScape, and welcome to a brand new video for you all today. So today I have for you guys loot from 1000 Zulrah, truly one of the most profitable bosses in the game, and especially for Iron Men accounts, very resourceful. Definitely have a lot to talk about and a lot of drops to show you guys throughout this video, but before we get started, let's go ahead and hear a few words from today's sponsor. So in case you've been living under a rock for the last couple of months, Raid is a brand new collection RPG game introducing Raid Shadow Legends. It has an amazing storyline, awesome 3D graphics, giant boss fights, and more than 400 champions for you to collect and personally customize. The amazing thing is that this game will remind you of the classical RPG and strategy games with the added bonus that it's now on your phone. Believe me, you will enjoy crazy battles and events that will keep you hooked immediately. Just look at how insane these graphics really are. Raid's graphics and storyline are comparable to AAA console games, but this game is free to play. It also has an almost perfect score on the Play Store, rated by hundreds of thousands of people. So yeah, this game is growing super fast, and expect to see a huge update this month, which will be very fun for all new players. This is truly the best time to join the action. So what are you waiting for? Go to the video description and click on the special links, and you will instantly get 50,000 silver and a free epic champion as a part of the new player program to start your journey. Good luck, and I'll see you there. And as always, a big thank you to you guys for checking out the sponsor, and a big thanks to Raid Shadow Legends for being so awesome lately. You know, these past few months they've been a big support on the channel, and I do appreciate it. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into today's video. Starting at kill count 5,877 and ending at kill count 6,877, I myself am certainly no stranger to this boss. I've actually made two videos on Zulrah in the past 3 years, one of them being loot from 30 hours of Zulrah back when we ran that series, and another fun video when Zulrah first came out of killing it for 24 hours straight. Now this video actually did take me around 40 hours to make, so this is probably the longest loot video that I've done on this boss, and I really did enjoy it. I was averaging with the setup that I was using, which was essentially max mage and max range minus the twisted bow, about 25 kills per hour. And if you're curious as to why I decided to use a blowpipe rather than a twisted bow, it's mainly because so many people have been getting hacked these days. I didn't want to take the risk of having an item worth over 1 bill in my inventory for a hacker to take, and that may sound stupid to some of you, but if you know anything about the current state of account security in this game, you will definitely understand. So I don't see myself ever buying a twisted bow until they add some more security measures, which hopefully they will do in the future. So that's beside the point though. Our very first drop of this video was actually a Serpentine Visage, which is used to make the Serpentine Helmet, as I'm sure most of you guys know. And that helmet is really useful for Iron Men accounts. You know, it prevents poison, and it's also very useful for just melee in general. It's pretty good combat bonuses and all that good stuff. So I was pretty happy to get that as a drop. And the other rare drops that you can expect from Zulrah would of course be the Tanzanite Fang, which is used to make the blowpipe, the Magic Fang, which is used to add on to a trident, make the bonus on that go up a little bit, and also the venom on it, and also the Onyx, which is pretty much the same drop rate of all the other items that I mentioned, and it's pretty useful. You know, all the drops are in the vicinity of anywhere from 2.8 to 3.5 mil, I believe, so they're all around the same price. So if you get either or, it really doesn't matter if you're a main. A lot of Iron Men accounts, you know, they go dry on certain items that they need, especially a blowpipe. You know, that Tanzanite Fang is very useful for obviously making a blowpipe to kill Zulrah. If you don't have a blowpipe, you know, you're a low level account and you can't afford one, I do see a lot of people use a magic shortbow imbued here, and I hear that does pretty well. I also see people use Carol's crossbows, so there's all sorts of replacement and alternative items if you're killing Zulrah, if you can't afford certain items or if you just haven't unlocked them yet. I do recommend looking up guides on YouTube for that. There's all sorts of guides out there for Zulrah. It's probably one of the most commonly killed bosses in the game just because of how useful it is, so that is definitely something to keep in mind. And of course, thanks to your guys' feedback on that 5,000 cave horror video that I just uploaded last week, you all really liked the idea of saving all the caskets that I get from these clue scrolls towards the end of the video, so I did the same exact thing for this vid. Now of course, you know, the drop rate of an elite clue scroll from Zulrah is 1 in 75, and it's It's not really a spoiler, but I did end up in this video, I believe, with 8 elite clue scrolls, so you guys will see all of them being open towards the end of the video. And the only other untradeable rares that Zulrah drops is, of course, the baby snakeling, which is 1 in 4,000, and of course the Tanzanite and magma mutagen, which I have not gotten on my account prior to this video, and that was my main goal throughout this video. And those, of course, are 1 in 6,500. The guide says 1 in 13,000, but it also says 1 in 6,500, so if someone could clarify that in the comments below, that would be appreciated. And speaking of Tanzanite, this is our first Tanzanite Fang drop. Was really nice to see, and that was after getting our second Serpentine Visage, so I was really excited to see some drops, especially early on in the video. You know, looking at the normal drop table of everything that Zulrah drops, I mean, just 400 kills in, you can kind of get a pretty good idea of what you're looking at overall. You know, a lot of useful things such as battle staves, dragon bones. They used to drop magic logs, but now they replaced the magic logs with U logs. For anyone who's been playing old school RuneScape since the start, you'll know that I think they've updated Zulrah's drop table a total of 3 or 4 times. And I remember when this boss first came out, I believe people were making close to 4 to 6 mil per hour just because of the magic seed drops. And Zulrah is one of the monsters that has had a dramatic decrease of a lot of items in the game as it pertains to their value, simply because there's just so many of these items, especially resources, in the game now. And some good examples of some drops that I'm talking about would be snakeskin, flax, pure essence, and dragonstone bolt tips. All of those items are virtually worthless compared to what they used to be. I remember I picked flax for 30 hours straight in 2016, and I believe flax at that point was 100 GP each, and now it's 1 GP each. So that kind of just gives you a good example there. Pretty crazy how one monster can have such a big effect on a bunch of items in the game. But moving on, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the trident that I was using for this video. As you can see, it is a little bit of a darker color than the normal trident, and that is because this is the extended version of the Trident of the Swamp. And the main use of this is basically it holds 20,000 casts rather than 2,500. And I did learn that around KC 450, I used about 10,000 of these casts. So I only had to charge my trident one time at the very end of the video, and that was pretty awesome. And speaking of awesome, here is our second Tanzanite Fang of the vid. As you can see, I think this was on day 2. This video took about 4 days to do, and funny story, the first 3 days I played about 7 hours a day, and then the last day is actually the morning of right now, and I was up for 22 hours straight killing Zulrah, which I was in a time crunch. I actually got some dates mixed up in real life, and I have a flight tonight, so I had to upload this video right away. So yeah, I had to pull an all-nighter last night, and I gotta be honest, my luck was kind of better towards the end than it was in the beginning, and you'll see what I mean at the very end of the video, obviously. But yeah, here is our first magic Fang. It's nice to see. You know, we had already gotten the Serpentine Visages and 2 Tanzanites, and now we're at the magic Fang, pretty much 3 out of 4 of the rare drops that you can get from Zulrah as it pertains to tradable. And we were even at 7 elite clue caskets overall, so it was pretty good RNG overall. You know, I was really looking to get that mutagen. That's the #1 goal of this video. I didn't want to see another pet reroll. I didn't want to see another jar of swamp. I believe I got 2 jars of swamp in my very first 500 kills many years ago, and I never got one since. I did have 2 pets, so I already had the pet coming into this video, but you guys will see if we do manage to get a reroll during this. And other than that, I was just dying a few times. I was seeing some pretty weird drops, you know, a bunch of rune spears, some rune battle axes, rune 2Hs. I don't remember Zulrah dropping rune items, but I guess they have that rare drop table, you know, where you can get all sorts of gems, you know, uncuts, tooth keys and loop keys, all sorts of weird things. So I was seeing some pretty interesting, unique drops. Nothing worth any value, of course, with these uncommon drops, but it was keeping my interest there, I guess you could say. Something that I really liked about killing Zulrah as well, since I was maxed and using my construction cape to kind of teleport to my house after every kill and use my ornament pool, I was not using any prayer points during this whole video, which meant I saved a lot of money on prayer potions that originally I would probably use. And speaking of money, there's our second magic Fang of the video, looking really nice there alongside the Tanzanite and the Serpentine. And in general, you know, I gotta say, at the very start of this video, I was using a Drayman staff and using the fairy ring method to get to Zulrah, and after about 200 kills, I did decide to use my master scroll book and just teleport directly to Zulrah. I found that much faster, and although it did cost me a little bit of money, I definitely think it was worth it. So it depends on who you are. I'd say if you're a max main just trying to kill Zulrah for the mutagen, definitely use the teleports. And if you're trying to maximize your profits but expecting a little bit of less kills per hour, definitely go with the Drayman Staff Fairy Ring method. So it looks like we are down to less than 100 kills before the end goal is complete, and luckily for me, we did receive our very first uncut onyx of the video with just a few kills to spare, so that was nice, you know, an extra 2.9 mil to that overall price check. Still was hunting down that mutagen, but you know, the only thing I could find at this very point was, I guess, just a bunch of onyxes. As you can see, our second onyx just a few kills later, and yeah, it was even more surprised than I was before. So yeah, that was kind of a good way to end the video. Didn't really expect to get that mutagen because the drop rate is just so high, and you got to understand, you know, every single kill is the same, everything's random, so if it's in the 6,000 range or the 13,000 range, whatever it may be, those odds are pretty astronomical when you're only killing 1,000. So maybe this isn't the end for Zulrah. I'll have to consider it, but I'd like to go back in the future, maybe use a twisted bow in the very far future, see what I can do, but overall it was definitely a good experience. So first things first, before we price check, let's go ahead and open the 8 Elite Clue Scroll caskets that we did get from Zulrah, and the very first one coming out to be 1.2 mil, a lovely Dragon Scimitar ornament kit, which I've actually not seen in game before, I don't think, so I'm curious if that's actually 1.2 mil, but yeah, all of the other rewards, as you can see, pretty average. You know, it's nice to see that they were in the 200Ks rather than the 100Ks, but yeah, it's like consistently always seeing 150 to 200K exactly on these elites, and you know, we did make just about 2.5 mil from 8 of them, which isn't too bad, and I was very happy to do them. Unfortunately, we didn't get any master clues from the caskets, but I would have definitely done those too. I think that would have helped the price check. Now it's time to price check all of the normal drops. As you can see, a ridiculous amount of runes, 48,000 chaos, 25,000 deaths, and 20,000 laws, as well as 213,000 Zulrah scales. And from killing 1,000 Zulrah, you also get 479 teleports back on average, or at least that's what I saw. And yeah, any Iron Men out there, about 127,000 pure essence, so that'll be definitely good for rune crafting. And the very first price check, all of it did come out to be 81.2 mil, which is more than I thought it would be, and I was very excited to see just how much the final result was going to be. And moving on to the second price check, all of these lovely arrows, rune items, javelins, keys, ores, and more. Let's go ahead and see what the overall result is. 16.2 mil. Well, I guess we can round it up to 16.3. So we go ahead and we add 81.2 plus 16.3, and the overall price check just from the normal drops comes out to be 97.5 mil. And last but not least, we have the 2 onyxes, the 3 serpentine visages, 2 tanzanite fangs, as well as 2 magic fangs, coming out to be approximately 29 mil, which we will go ahead and add to the 97.5. And the overall loot from 1,000 Zulrah comes out to be 126.5 mil. Of course, we did use Zulrah scales with the blowpipe, trident charges, and of course the food and potions, and all of that on my estimates do come out to be about 12 mil in supply costs, maybe 15, but despite all of that, regardless, in about 4 days time, we did make about 110 mil profit in less than 45-ish hours, because you know, you do add in the time that it takes to do the elite clues, and overall I'd say it's a great experience. Zulrah's still a good money maker to this day, and hopefully next time we'll get that mutagen. So with all that being said, guys, thank you very much for watching. I am going to be going away up to New York City for the next week, and when I get back, I'll be uploading a video that's already done, and it is a massive gargoyle loot video, so I'll see you guys with that in the very near future. Yeah, have a great week, guys. Thanks a lot for everything. See you next time, and until then, Mr. No Sleep out.